no problem. Just give me a sec. I just got to load up your interview, and we're ready to go.
Not a problem, brother.
Okay, I'm ready to go. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
All right. First question. This is going to be a pretty typical question.
That's all right.
When you guys, when you guys were building up, obviously Death Angel in '90, what was the primary reason to leave? What I read, you were kind of bitter. What led you to get in that kind of mindset?
By the time I actually took off, let's tell you the truth. What it had been is the main gist is we started so young and we got into the music business just out of the love of music, And what happened was it was kind of a typical story that when we got signed fairly fast. I guess we formed in '82. I joined in '84, and we were signed by I think like '86. And when we signed, no one in our family had ever been involved with the music business and whatnot. And what basically, record companies started coming up and managers with contracts and whatnot. And they had their lawyers that they've had for a long time. And what we had was, we went to the Yellow Pages, worked under entertainment lawyer, and grabbed the first guy we saw. So basically, we signed a bunch of things that we shouldn't have when we were really young. And it came back to haunt us throughout our career to basically the demise. And it was constantly, by the end, we were always on tour by the Act 3 tour, and literally we'd get off stage and we'd be on the bus having meetings about, what court case we were in now, trying to fight back, and get back any of our earnings. Because by the end, don't get me wrong, you're doing it for the love of music, but you also got to pay bills. And we were generating a lot of money at that point, but we were seeing none of it.
Right, okay.
So it was kind of a constant legal thing, and it became more about the business and about the meetings and the actual getting on stage and, doing what we love to do. So that just literally was, I think it was kind of eating away at everyone in the band. And by the end, that was kind of the prime focus of us being on tour, and then we got in a big bus accident, and by then I just kind of took that as a sign that, a little too much for me.
Okay. Now also back in '90, when you were, you felt that the band was breaking up after you left. Like when you guys decided to reform, I guess it was kind of important where you guys just didn't want to destroy the legacy that you guys had through the history of the band.
Oh, in a huge way. I mean, that's why even the side projects that we had formed after Death Angel, or the new projects that everyone had formed after Death Angel, we never wanted to take away from, the legacy of Death Angel. And that's why when we were actually approached for the Thrash of the Titans show, or the Clash of the Titans show, Thrash of the Titans, sorry.
Right.
We were very leery about it. We had been asked, and at first we were the last band to confirm on the whole thing, just because it was something we held sacred and we didn't want to take away from it.
Yeah.
So then again, when we actually did get on stage, it was just undeniable chemistry.
Well, this was another question. Was that show pretty well one of the primary reasons why you guys reformed?
That was the reason. If that show wouldn't have happened, I don't think this Death Angel would have happened.
Okay.
So, I mean, it was unfortunately, at that point, Chuck got diagnosed with cancer, but we came out of it because, now he's doing great, he's healthy, and it helped, I think, springboard this genre back into the mainstream, at least put it back into the face of metal.
Gotcha. Go ahead.
And it's just because we wouldn't have done it. We would have never have done it. We had been approached many times by different promoters, and we flatly turned them down. And when we first got asked for, this, we kind of turned it down, and then eventually we decided to do it, and we did it, and then, we had such an amazing time. Promoters in Europe started asking us to come out and then tour, so we decided we'd, do it, and the shows out there were twice of what we thought would be, the reception. It was crazy. So, but then again, it went through the whole another level, and all of a sudden labels started approaching us. And then we had to sit down and go, whoa. Can we write another Death Angel album? It's been, 13 years. So.
Yeah. Now with 2008, with the kind of pipeline that are, with all these new big band, well, not new, but big bands coming out, new Anthrax, new Metallica, you guys, New Testament. I mean, do you really think this is the new year for, I guess, the old school thrash to get back in its form, I guess, from the early 80s?
I think that it's going to take a new form, but it's definitely scratching in a huge way at the door of, modern metal, in a huge way. And, just for, how many times have you heard kids saying they want to hear, Metallica come out with an album like the early stuff? It's a constant. It's a constant. And I think, a lot of these young bands are coming out and really young, and forming these thrash type of bands. And a lot of the newer bands that are getting bigger are, letting it be known that a lot of these thrash bands helped influence them.
Yeah.
And so I think it's, right now it's right at its, point where it's about to burst.
Where do you see a lot of newer, younger bands coming out of areas like San Francisco? That was the epicenter of it all?
There's a lot more coming out. There's definitely, and it's not necessarily just San Francisco. I know because it's hard to get shows here because a lot of the clubs are, 21 and over and stuff like that.
Right.
Definitely seeing, a lot of younger bands from here, Sacramento, LA, and Europe and stuff coming out, playing this type of stuff.
Okay. Now, when you guys started out so early, what would you recommend a lot of kids today, that are 14, 15? Is it a smart thing for them to actually drop out of school and pursue a band or music? Is that something you would recommend being older?
I'd say give it your all. I would never tell anyone to drop out of school.
Okay.
I would never tell anyone in their right mind to drop out of school to be in a band unless all of a sudden you started getting very successful.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's one thing I would say is definitely give it your all. And I think you can give it your all and be in school. But, give it your all and believe in, follow your heart. If you believe in it, give it your all. Give it your all.
Okay.
Even if people are telling you the way you're doing it's a little off, good. All the better. All the better.
Yeah,
be original and give it your all.
Right. All right. Now, with you guys being the first thrash band signed to a major label, are you still baffled by that?
Looking back on it, it's just kind of a yes and a no thing. I love the fact that we were fortunate enough to get on a label that enabled us to put out Act 3 and work with Max Norman. As far as, am I baffled by it? To me, no. Now that I've removed myself from the music industry for a while, and now that I'm back in it, I can look at the beast and see how it works to the point where I kind of liken it to 10 years pre the grunge movement, when, all of a sudden Nirvana hit, major labels went to Seattle and tried to snatch up anything they could that was grunge-like.
Right.
Metallica hit, all of a sudden major labels wanted their Metallica.
Yeah.
And we were around at that point, wham, we got hit by Geffen, and then they started hitting other different thrash bands. So we were fortunate enough to be in the right area, putting out strong products,